have lovely weather. So I'm back again with another little bit of our story called, let's see, what was it? The Tale of Angelino Brown. And if you remember last time, I read to you about the little angel that had been found by Bert and taken home and introduced to his wife Betty. So I've been reading on, and in the few chapters that I've read, Bert and Betty have decided to keep Angelino, but they think it would be a very good idea for him to go to work with Betty. Betty is a school cook, and she's taken Angelino to work and introduced him to the deputy head teacher, Mrs. Mole, who has said that Angelino needs to go to class. Now, Angelino's a very frightened little angel, very timid, so he's only whispered to the children. He hasn't actually spoken out. And he's not very confident. So the chapter that I'm going to start with now is where Angelino goes out to play with the children. Let's see where we are. Lunchtime. Carrots, ketchup and custard, of course. There are many things in Betty's delicious school dinners that appeal to an angel with a sweet tooth. Angelino happily nibbles and licks. He turns up his nose at gravy and meat. He sits at a table with Nancy and her pals. They feed him with their fingertips and with their spoons. They ask him to speak, to say his name, to write, to dance, to fly. Slow down, says Nancy. How would you like it if you were a tiny angel on his first day in school? You're right, said Jack. Give him time to settle in. So they're quiet and they gaze at Angelino in amazement. When Betty's finished serving, she comes and sits with them. Angelino waves and does a little dance and climbs onto her arm. He did a lesson, says Nancy, with the professor. With the professor, says Betty proudly. Well, Angelino, I am impressed. Just wait till I tell Bert. And Betty, says Nancy, you'll never guess what. He spoke. Betty goggles and claps her hands across her mouth. Angelino! And what did he say? Go on, Angelino, prompts Nancy. Tell Betty what you said. Angelino frowns. Angelino farts. Nancy whispers in his ear. He steps down from Betty's arm. He stands up straight, holds his hands behind his back, takes a deep breath, and says in a clear, tiny voice, I don't know nout, and I don't know who I am. Angelino, cries Betty, what a lovely voice you have. Angelino beams. He says it again, louder this time. I don't know nout, and I don't know who I am. Just wait till Bert hears that, says Betty. And Angelino, says Jack, it's a proper compound sentence there. Betty's eyes shine with tears of joy. She takes the angel in her hand and holds him high. She laughs. You're getting bigger and taller and heavier, I'm sure of it. Oh, what a lovely angel you're going to be. Sit down, calm down. It's the voice of Mrs. Mole, who is patrolling the dining hall and trying to keep the kids away from Angelino's table. Control yourselves! She stamps her foot. We are trying to emerge from special measures, and you are behaving like little monsters, she cries. Her voice gets louder and screechier. How can she cope with all of this? Special measures, excited kids, and now an angel in their midst. What? She screeches. If another school inspector turns up at our door. Poor Mrs. Mole, whispers Betty to Angelino. She gets herself into such a tiz. Mrs. Mole comes over to Angelino's table. You are attracting far too much attention, she says. Angelino sticks out his bottom and farts. That is quite enough of that, said Mrs. Mole. Angelino stops and stares at her. I expect far better manners from an angel, she says. He's sorry, miss, says Betty. I hope he is, Mrs. Brown. It is he who should be showing an example to his fellow pupils. He will, miss, promises Betty in a rather trembly voice. Mrs. Mole leans down over Angelino. I shall, she says, be keeping a very close eye on you, my boy. And she wheels away. Angelino, says Betty, I'm so proud of you. She gives him a little kiss. Go on, she says, go off and play with your friends. Mrs. Mole isn't the only one who's keeping a close eye on our little angel this lunchtime. Beyond the school gates and across the road on the other side of the park stands a bloke in black. Yes, the same bloke as before. Strange, he looks quite a young bloke behind the shades and the moustache and the black suit. No more than a lad, really. He has a small pair of binoculars trained on Angelino. He has the notebook in his hand and he has a phone to his cheek and he's speaking into it. Yes, boss, he says, I've got him in my sights. Boss, no, I've never seen nought like him, never before, boss. Never in my life, boss. Yes, boss, there'll be a way of making money from it. Yes, boss, the circus maybe, or how about a church, boss? A church would give a good load of loot to get its hands on a proper real-life angel. He goes on watching. He sees Angelino carried out into the schoolyard by Nancy. He sees all the excited kids gather around, and then a group of them break away and start a football game. It's rough and tough and fast. A bunch of lads and lasses scampering around, kicking and heading and yelling. To me, call the kids. On me head. Great shot. Bad luck. That's a foul. Red card, ref. What a goal. What a save. To me, to me. Ouch. To him. Bring him down. Get stuck in. Get stuck in. Jack Fox is the cleverest and quickest. He's the star. He runs like Lionel Messi, swerves like Lionel Messi, scores like Lionel Messi. In his imagination, he is Lionel Messi. He laughs and grins and yells encouragement to the others. See, he calls, maravilloso, fantastico, goal! Angelino dances on Nancy's hand. He squeaks with delight. He runs around on her palm as if he's running around with the kids in the game. He swings his legs as if he's kicking the ball. He jumps up as if he's heading it. He jumps and then, good gracious, boss, gasps a bloke in black to his phone. He's flying! Not very far, not very high, but he does. He flies. He jumps off Nancy's hand into the air and hovers there for a few moments, a little bit higher than her head. And then down he tumbles to the ground at Nancy's feet. Angelino! She gasps in fright. She's sure he must have broken something. A leg, an arm, his back, his skull. But he jumps to his feet. He giggles and gasps. He flaps his wings. He leaps back into Nancy's hands. He jumps again and flies again, a bit further, a bit higher. He lands back on her hands and gets ready to do it a third time. It's amazing. He seems to have grown yet again. Nancy has to use both of her hands to hold him now. Then the football flashes past and he jumps towards it and nearly touches it. Down to Nancy's hands again. The ball flies past again and this time Angelino's after it. He flaps his wings so fast that they can hardly be seen and he catches the ball and wraps his arms around it and down they fall together to the ground. Caramba! Yells Jack Fox. What a save! Angelino totters to his feet, the ball at his side. It's bigger than he is. You're on our team, yells Jack. Angelino, you're goalie, el portero. He carries the angel to where the goal is. You've got to stop the ball from coming in. Comprende? Angelino stares at Jack like he really, really wants to understand. Jack shows him how it's done. Take a penalty, he says to Louis Lepp. Just watch, Angelino. Louis puts the ball on the spot and takes a penalty kick. Jack dives to his left and catches the ball. He knocks the second penalty away with his fist. Get the idea? He says to Angelino. Now it's you. He sets Angelino down between the posts. It looks hopeless. The angel's surely far too small to be defending such a space. But his good friend Nancy believes in him. You can do it, Angelino, she shouts. Angelino narrows his eyes and stares at the ball. He flexes his knees just like a proper goalie. Not too hard, shouts Louis Lepp. Jack chips the ball. It swerves towards the corner of the goal and look how Angelino leaps and flies and catches it. Then spins through the air with the ball in his arms and comes back down to earth. Everybody cheers. What a goalie! What a save! So there we have Angelino managing to save a goal and feeling that all his friends are there around him. He grew a little bit while I was telling you that story. I wonder what it was that made him grow. I have a feeling that possibly it was all of his friends saying such nice things to him, helping him along, making him feel like he could do something even though it seemed like it might be impossible. So that's what I want you to think about this week. How many nice things can you say to the people around you? How good can you make them feel? How much can you give them confidence to have a go at something that maybe seems absolutely impossible? Because all it takes are a few little words from you to make somebody else feel wonderful. I know that happened to Mrs. Cahoon this week. One of the children said something to her, just normal, but it made Mrs. Cahoon grow because it made her so happy. So it's easy to do. You don't have to think about it too hard. Be like Angelino's friends. Help people around you to feel good. You never know, you might just see them grow yourselves. Bye.